Are you ready to make some delicious bread? Okay, let's begin. These are the ingredients: flour, milk, egg, butter, salt, sugar, and the yeast. If you want to know more about exact measurements, I'll put them in the description below. Okay, we're gonna start with proving the yeast and adding our ingredients. First, just get a hot pan and melt your butter. I'm just using a Dutch oven. If you don't have one, it's fine. You can use whatever other pot you have. Once the butter is all melted, just add the milk. You're gonna add your egg. And we're gonna try to mix it up and try to make sure that the temperature is great for the yeast. We're gonna add our sugar. I'm gonna add the yeast and then the salt. By now the temperature must be ready for the yeast, and we're just gonna mix it up and let it sit for 1 or 2 minutes. Once your yeast have proof, then just add the flour. Start mixing the liquids with the flour, and even though it looks like it's very watery and it's not looking like a dough, it's okay. Just don't add any more flour. Just trust the recipe. I have done it several times with the same amount of flour, and if you want fluffy and delicious bread, just don't add any more flour. Just keep it like that. It must be a little fluffy at first, but it's all good. Okay, now it's time to put the lid on the pot, and if you have another container, just cover it and put it in a warm area for an hour. An hour has passed, so let's see. Oh, our dough has risen beautifully. Now we're gonna try to mix it up by hand. Work the dough a little bit, not much, just a few minutes. Even though it's sticky at first, it's not sticky enough to get it completely in your hands. But at this point, do not add any more flour. Just keep working the dough, releasing the air in there. Work it a little bit so the gluten will develop a little bit more. Put the lid on again and back to the warm area for 30 minutes. The time has passed, and now we have our perfect dough ready to start forming our breads. So it's time to take it out of the pot and put it on our working surface. Let's sprinkle some flour. Just put the dough on your counter or your surface, the one that you're working with. Now our dough is ready. We're gonna start forming our bread, but first let's just gather our dough. Let's get it ready, and let's get the texture ready for our bread. We're just gathering and kneading a little bit, making sure that it is elastic enough, that the gluten has developed, and that is ready for get some delicious and fluffy bread. Now it's time to grease our baking pan. You can use parchment paper. I'm just using some butter so that my dough is not gonna stick into it. And I'm going to go ahead and divide the dough into 2 equal parts. And each part, I'm going to divide it into 3 equal parts. As you see, some are smaller, but you can take and add. Just try to eyeball it. Some people use a scale. I just want to go ahead and do it as I think they look the same. And then start stretching your dough. It's just like you were playing with Play-Doh. Just stretch it and then start rolling from one end to the other one. Making little rolls, and then just put it on your dish and your baking pan. Like that. Put it in a baking pan, and then when they're all ready, They might look like that. Now we're gonna cover and let it rise for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, they're nice and ready to get into the oven. Okay, our final step, let's bake it for 20 minutes at 350 degrees. There you go, you have your beautiful bread, nice and fluffy, ready to eat with coffee, make it sandwich. There are just many options. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like.